Jack Diners, to Ep.19, Dinner for Wolf. Let me regale you of a tale of a long, gangly adventurer and his short, chubby sidekick. Who am I referring to? Ron Howard and George Lucas, of course. I'll be Scandisk the Red, your wizard, and I'm joined by my party.
Laura Dannon.
And Gray Mortigan.
In a place far, far away, Los Angeles, California, in a time long, long ago, the 1980s, George Lucas penned his fantasy epic, Willow. To get this project off the ground, he needed some alumni from his most famous and popular movie. You know the movie I'm talking about. American Graffiti. So Ron Howard and George Lucas decide to create...
I don't... The chronology of the Lucasverse is confusing.
It's all related.
Scary.
They're all connected. So, not only do we get, Han Solo from American, we also get Ron Howard, and he decides to give him the reins of his story. So George Lucas actually writes this story.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were gonna say Return of the Jedi, since Warwick Davis is in both.
So in 1988, Willow is penned by George Lucas. He wanted to create a film, a universe, a fantasy universe that is kind of kid-oriented. It is rated PG, even though there are kind of weird things in it that would probably mark it for a PG-13 film. And they released it with hopes that it would kind of trump the blockbusters like Star Wars. It went up against Rambo 3 and I think an Indiana Jones movie, maybe The Temple of Doom. It didn't do great, but it still made a profit in international market. I have pretty fond memories of this film. It was one of those VHSs that kind of got worn out, because it's pretty much like it was in the bargain bin in so many stores.
It's one of like 3 movies, along with Spaceballs and Clue, and 4, Princess Bride, that my brother, sister, and I would all watch over and over again. So my parents I think they just had them on rotation when they needed just a break. So yes, I also have fond memories.
And it did not age that poorly, honestly. In general, I thought it was going to be way worse. I thought it was going to be just kind of Beastmaster bad, but it was not. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's still watchable, and I'm sure that's why it's still on, Disney Plus and not put into the forgotten realm.
Yeah, my experience seeing this is a little bit different because I had not seen this growing up. Somehow I'd missed this one, even as a fantasy movie junkie for the most part. Somehow this one had just never been on TV when I was watching TBS or USA as a kid. We didn't have a VHS of it. So I actually watched this for the first time in its entirety about 3 months ago, but I was half watching it while doing homework or something. And then just last night watched it in its entirety and gave it my full attention.
I would not.
And can I tell you, it is 2 different experiences of half watching this one versus paying attention. When you don't have the memory of the story and what's going to happen next already, lodged in your brain. So we'll get into that later. But yeah, so I'm the outlier here in that I didn't see this one as a kid and I don't have the nostalgia factor.
So Ron Howard is the director, and this isn't like his first film. He actually directed Cocoon right before this. So he is like a prominent director. Not like super prominent, like he's not doing Forrest Gump yet, or he is well tested. And this is an interesting movie for him.
So as we usually do at the beginning of these, do we want to do the speed run?
Yeah, let's do a little speed. This might be a little longer. I'll try to speed it up.
Well, this is to be fair, this is a lot of movie. It's a little over 2 hours.
If I can be honest, I think now I haven't heard your speed run. Just from having watched both movies, feel like your task was a little easier than mine was with Bullet Train. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yes. So yes,
we're grading this on a curve.
Similar duration to Bullet Train. Far less convoluted plot, but also far more world building. But
Yeah, there's definitely.
That's all fair.
I would give Bullet Train the one that needs more time because it's so twisty.
In a greasy peasant-filled dungeon, a baby girl is born with a mark, a la Beastmaster. Episode 14, Dinner for Wolf. The evil queen from Snow White shows up to excommunicate the baby, but luckily the baby is able to escape into a montage. Eventually, the baby grows up into a larger baby. They get hunted by New York City rats, and the wet nurse yeets her into a river before getting torn apart like a Subway pizza slice. Ron Howard's name appears 3 to 4 more times. The little baby is found by equally little kids, and they go to find their father, who is the titular hero of the film, Willow Smith. They're Nelsons, which are kind of like hobbits, I guess, and they live in the world of biggins that are called bikinis. She's a bikini baby. Willow wants to shove the baby down the river, but his kids don't want him to drown another river. His neighbor, Burger Butt, comes by to tell Willow that he sucks. His family ignore Willow and adopt the bikini baby. They go into town and it's like a festival of Nelson, and Willow shows everyone how bad he is. And Randolph the Gray plays Pull My Finger with 3 Nelsons, including Williard. No one makes it to the end. The party is broken up by Ratwolf, TM, and a Nelson who looks like Little Richie kills the beast. Williards decides that this baby needs to be taken to the Elder. Too many rats for one day. Baby is strong with the Force. Anyways, Burger Butt wants to feed the baby to the Ratwolves, but Randolph says, let's give the baby back to the bikini. Willow recants his baby drowning ways and is assigned the role of Grand Baby King. And Randolph the Wizard volunteers Burger Butt, Little Richie, and Steve-O, and some other rando. Back in Mordor, Skeletor is saying random fantasy crap like Galdor and Child Prophecies and Galaga. They also introduced the queen's daughter, who was bad at being a bad guy, Squasha. Sorry Man the White tells the evil queen that her daughter sucks. The Fellowship of the Ring traverses through a couple of green screens till they find Sans Holo trapped in a cage. He's a dashing rogue with British teeth that surprisingly get cleaner the more heroic he gets. Mad Mardigan, one word, is caged up for some reason. There's wars and some stuff happening. They let Mardigan out and give him the kid, because, they're bored. Surely a guy named Mad Mardigan is good at taking care of kids. Then I don't know what happens. I don't remember. I think the movie just ends. All right. To sum it up, little turds called brownies steal the baby and take the baby Eleanor to Galadriel of the Forest. She tells him that the baby is special and Frodo is the only one who can help her, and gives him a wand, and that she needs to do what the baby says and go whack some evil queen somewhere. Meager had enough of this crap and leaves, and all the random Nelfins are gone. William is left with the baby and 2 brownies that look like gross furry cosplayers of Sonic the Hedgehog and Tails. They go to a bar and they do some stuff. The brownies try to drug a chick in the bar, and then they go to try to have sex with a cat. This movie is awesome. Mad Mardigan is caught adultering, and instead of just leaving, he dresses up as a woman and with makeup and prosthetic breasts. They get caught up with Sportia, and Mardigan kind of do the whole bad guy, good girl kind of thing, and hijinks ensues. Anyway, Willow, Cat Cardigan team up because the baby tells them to. Williard does some magic, Mardigan bonds with the baby, and the brownies are green screened in for several scenes. They get to the lake and go their separate ways. Willow finds a squirrel in the lake. The fat squirrel is also a wizard. Sophia gets the baby, and they capture everyone except for Sonic and Tails. They end up in a snowy village 5 screens later. They're in prison. The squirrel wizard gives Williard rabies, which unlocks his true powers. The brownies give Mad Mardigan a hit of PCP, and he falls in love with Sportia, trying to save the baby. After a little bit of wooing, all hell breaks loose and they escape on a sled. They meet with remnants of the army that went against Googly Gosher in a village somewhere. They kidnap Forza and make their escape. After a little foreplay, Portia escapes after making googly eyes one last time. They finally make it to Tierno, but there's no army there. Williard sucks at magic some more, and Mad Mardigan gears up with some dead man loot. Even though the enemy are literally at the gates, they have enough time to home alone the entire stupid kingdom. Willow makes a Hydra with a troll's body with Mitch McConnell heads, and fights happen. The troll that looks like Monkey Guy from the Land of the Lost kills some people, and Mad Mardigan his heroics win over Sorsha, and Skeletor steals the baby in the chaos. Willow, Mad Mardigan, and 100 other dudes from the remnant army show up at the door. Bravura turns everyone into pigs and starts an AC/DC music video. It's up to Willow to turn Goat into a goat. Raziel depigifies everyone. Willow uses farming power to break into the castle. Razor and Bravo max magic off. Willow fights a pot. Skeletor kills Eric and then gets killed by Mad Mickelson. Willow does some dumb tricks, and Johnny Bravo gets hit by lightning, ending her reign. Star Wipe, Star Wars medal ceremony. Willow returns to the Shire, and all is well. Dun dun dun. 30 years later, Disney picks it up.
Beautiful, man. And those are Mitch McConnell heads. I can't. It's exactly what they are.
That was a long one.
Yup. That a plus effort. Especially the medal ceremony at the end. I'm trying to imagine in the Willow ceremony, who's Chewbacca not getting a medal? Is it the brownies?
Burger Butt.
Oh, Burger Butt. Yeah, definitely Burger Butt.
Gotta be Burger Butt.
I do enjoy this subplot that they go on early in the movie where Burger Butt is I forget his actual name now is like threatening him. I'm like, you're supposed to, but like he has this weird like Monsanto like seed proprietary rights thing that just they completely drop like 10 minutes into the movie. We're like, you're supposed to get the seeds from me. How dare you? We're gonna have your land, and then never comes back. Never comes
Yeah,
back.
it's a Burgle Cut.
Freaking cut. There we
but
go.
but I'm going to continue with Burger Butt. Uh, am I mistaken? Is Burgle Butt just is he just rich or is he the mayor?
I don't know. I
I
have
think
the
he's
same
just
question.
rich. Yeah.
I think he's the
'Cause
mayor and he's
I got the
corrupt,
impression
and so I think he's the mayor and he's on the take. Like I don't know. It's or it's just like a
I got the
feudal system
impression
where like yeah, it's yeah.
I got the impression that he's the mayor because he's like bossing other characters around and they're actually listening to him. And
Yeah.
it's not just because he's taller. Like there's some sort of authority there.
He's either the mayor or like because he controls they're all farmers and because he controls the rights to what they plant, like they
Yeah,
defer
because
to him. It's
even the
something
warrior
like that.
guy, even the warrior guy who's supposed to be like the badass of the Nelsons, he he is subservient to
Yeah.
Burglebutt consistently.
Yep.
Like the only one who has and the old wizard Nelson, who's like the village elder. He's the only
I
one who gets
enjoy
what's up.
even that one. I enjoyed the old village elder just like was winking and nodding to that the whole system was BS. It's like the bones speak to me. The bones don't speak to me. Willow, give me something to go on here. Fucking.
I
Yeah,
mean,
But
yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
is real in this world, so like I
Right,
don't know.
right. Yep, and that's what I was gonna say is that the only time that Cut ever does anything he doesn't want to do is when he gets tricked into it by the lying fake sorcerer elder.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of derived this idea that he must be the mayor or something because everyone listens to him except the weird sorcerer guy who tricks him into going on the party.
And my headcanon there is that that guy could actually do actual magic to do that, but he's like, this works, and I'm bored and very old, and I'm gonna do it this way instead.
Yeah.
so this is like there are times when you're watching this and like the cast. I think that it was a call out for like I think there's like 250 little people that are all hired for like all of
Yeah.
these roles, right? And a lot of them look like actors, like they just like have the look of like well-known actors, just little versions of them. It's like very
I don't have a direct example, but I know what you mean, and yes.
I was just like, why does that guy look like
I get what you're saying. I got that vibe from like the badass action hero of the village, and I can't tell you who I think he looks like, but like, yeah, I will say though, credit to the movie for actually doing that. I actually, when I was watching the movie, and I've wondered this in other settings too, where like sometimes they'll hire like a morbidly obese person to be morbidly and like all this, and it's just like, what is that like? Like, is that respectful? Is that disrespectful? How do you make that call? How's the
Well,
like,
that's like I mean the other way around happens now too, where I'm not trying to weigh in on this one way or the other, but
right, right, right.
but Bryan Cranston caught a lot of flack from that movie where he played a quadriplegic.
Right.
And they were like, you could have got a real quadriplegic for that role. And it's like, well, how many quadriplegic late middle age actors are there?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And for the most part, like a lot of at least the main actors, they're prolific actors. The guy who was like the main warrior, like Nelson or Nelflim or whatever, he plays in a lot of movies. He was in Bad Santa. He was like the sidekick in Bad Santa. And like
Warwick Davis was in Return of the Jedi. He was in the Leprechaun movies. He's been in some like more prestigious stuff since. I'm blanking on a few of those, but like yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
like the actor who played R2D2.
He's in a new show called Willow.
Yes, he is. He is. But there's other stuff too. But no, one thing I didn't realize when I was a kid, because I don't know how old they thought he was when I was a kid. I didn't think he was 10 years older than me when I was a kid. He was 17 when this was being made. He
Well,
was
that's the
not
thing.
old.
So
like
that's one of my fun facts I throw at people randomly. Is yes, he was 17 in this because it was like 4 years earlier, I think, that Return of the Jedi was made.
right.
And George Lucas reportedly wanted the Ewoks to be so small that they hired child little people. So Warwick Davis was like 12 when he
Yeah.
played the main Ewok.
And his kids are like literally maybe 6 or like 7 years older or younger than him. Like
Yeah.
it's
I think one was like 7 and one was like 10. Like
Yeah.
like years younger. But yeah, they were
Right.
close.
Yep. Yeah.
So, anyways, about like just moving on, just like the general experience, I thought I was gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be like kind of a trudge through, all right? And there are goofy scenes, but there are moments where I laughed and like I wouldn't say that I would watch it again anytime soon, but I didn't mind watching it. You know, it was like Val Kilmer is very good in this. Like Val Kilmer is
very
excellent
good.
in this.
Very good. And ad-libbed a lot of his lines apparently.
Yeah.
Which kind of like, it looks like he had fun doing this. Like where he grabs him when he gets out of the cage and just like
Yeah.
freaks out, grabs the guy, tosses up and say, I feel better. Apparently none of that is in the script. He just did that. And the guy looking like, what the hell is going on here is
But
somewhat
in
natural.
general, like this, like if this movie, all right, came out like now or whatnot, you'd just be like, this is such a ripoff of Lord of the Rings. Like it is so
yes.
Lord of the Rings esque.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mean, the cartoon came out, right? The like
Right. And we have to assume Lucas read the books.
yeah. But like the actual like cinematography, right? When the two witches fight each other, isn't that exactly like Gandalf
Yeah.
and Saruman fighting in like on the
Yep.
tower?
Yeah.
It's like they're spinning around and stuff. Like
Also, except they're also fighting bedroom furniture, yes. But yes,
Yeah.
other than that, it's exactly the same.
But yeah,
I will say- Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this: the circular room, the way they spin around, like it's they gender swapped it, but yes, it is two geriatric people, throwing like glow sticks at each other.
yeah, and then
Yup.
throwing each other around. Like it's like
Yeah.
Yes. I would say it's less of a like Saruman just like beats the bejesus out. Like it's less one sided. It's a little more of a scrap in Willow. But
Yeah, so
I'll say
I
I also enjoyed. Yeah, sorry. I also enjoyed the movie. Like I'm not gonna pretend because again I have a very emotional soft spot for this movie. Like I was excited to watch it again, so I'm sure I'm seeing it through rose-colored glasses, but still like it, still enjoyed it. The music also held up. Like that theme, which I think is also used in a bunch of trailers for other stuff later.
yeah, probably.
But the music is very, very good and like sets the theme, and it's corny, but I enjoyed it. It's like feel good and silly, and there's enough drama where it's okay. Like I like it.
So I cracked up like during like the speed run when I wrote Sans Holo, right? Because uh Lucas has like so similar beats to Star Wars in this.
Yeah.
It's just like it's unbelievable how close they are. Right? You have like an Obi-Wan figure, you have like the Han Solo figure, you have the, Luke Skywalker figure who's like coming into his own power or whatnot. Like you even have like the bad Sportia or whatever her name is. Like she's a princess too. And like, she's like
Yep.
apparently she's supposed to be like in the books or the comic books, like she is the heir to like that broken down kingdom that they go to.
Right, the one that they're like, oh, this army will help us, and it's just filled with trolls instead. Yeah,
Yeah.
I read that. Too.
Apparently her father is supposed to be one of the crystallized dudes in there, or like
Yeah, I read that too, but they dropped that hard from the movie. But
Yeah.
I mean, it would have made it a little better, like than her just, like she just switches over. She's like, whatever, like change teams.
Like, I bet Val Kilmer's penis is real nice. I better switch over, which is essentially the motivation. Like they hint before that she's kind of got a heart of gold thing, but like,
yeah,
it's pretty much when he gets hopped up on love powder and sweet talks her that she's just like, yeah.
Now I want to
my
say
mom's
like that scene, okay, when like he's wooing like what's her face, not as creepy as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
less creepy, but it is kind of cringy. Like the
Oh, yeah.
actual dialogue in that whole section
God,
is
yes.
like
Oh, yeah.
it's like if Shakespeare did MDMA
yeah.
and just wrote stuff as fast as he could.
But I was thinking, I remembered, I thought it was gonna be like the Beastmaster scene where Dar's just like groping.
Yeah. It's
Like I was like,
not
this
like
isn't gonna-
that.
yeah, like this isn't gonna age well. But then it was just like, oh, that's not as terrible as I thought it was gonna be. So like this can be
Yep.
on Disney Plus.
I
Now,
have like a crackpot theory on this where like because Mardigan is also like not himself there, so they're both like, what the hell is going on? It feels a little less one-sided. I wonder if that's something to do with it. Because he's drunk to
Oh,
Kingdom Come, and afterwards, like, I did what? I hate her. What's going on? So like, I don't know.
yeah,
So
no, that helps it, and
it feels
also
like
the
they're kind
fact
of
that
both, yeah, they're
he didn't actually
neither of them
grab
wanted
her
it
and
to
talk about
happen.
raping her also
yeah,
helped,
Right,
and he
right.
didn't have a. He also didn't have a plan with his talking panther to ambush
yeah,
her,
exactly.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Beastmaster did not age well. That's
so
not.
yeah.
because we brought it up, so many story beats are similar to Beastmaster.
Yeah.
There's the baby with the mark that the
Yep.
evil wizard wants to kill.
We can pause
There's
and go over how I can't believe that you've watched Beastmaster as often as you have, and Conan as often as you have, and have not seen Willow until this podcast. Like, I just
oh,
think that's
to be clear, I've only seen Beastmaster in its entirety once for the
okay.
pod.
Fair,
Growing
fair.
up, I saw Beastmaster in bits and pieces.
Yeah,
You,
because it was always on TNT.
I'm just
Willow,
saying,
I
like,
never even saw in bits and pieces. Willow, I just knew it existed and I'd never seen
right,
it. I mean, as a kid, I was into fantasy literature and I watched Conan 100,000 times.
yes.
So maybe I was just a Conan fan and not a fantasy fan as a kid. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, a lot of story beats are similar to Beastmaster, but head and shoulders, this is better than Beastmaster.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
on every
I mean, low
single
bar.
yeah,
But
but still, I went into this expecting them to be on the same plane.
Yeah.
okay,
Me too.
okay.
And that in part is because my first watch, as I mentioned earlier, was 3 months ago, half watching it while like working on spreadsheets. And I just looked up when it got loud. And if you only look up when it gets loud, you see all the worst parts of Willow.
Yeah. The like
Like,
the graphic Lucas illumination and magic or whatever.
yep,
Like
yep, yep.
they
ILM.
yeah,
Industrial light
they
magic. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was revolutionary at the time, I guess, but it looks so bad. Like
Well,
the
that,
brownies.
but also the brownies, yeah. But then the louder talking parts are the corniest parts of the movie.
Oh yeah.
So in that first watch through, I saw only its worst parts and missed the better moments in between.
Yeah.
And that's why I was dreading going into watching it last night. And I was like, oh my God, I just watched it 3 months ago. It was so corny and terrible.
Yeah.
And on a real watch of actually paying attention and allowing myself to get into that world and not be in a spreadsheet, it was actually way better than I expected.
Yeah. I mean, it's still cheesy and it's still
It's a journey. It's a
Yeah.
journey because
I'll say this, with the exception of the brownies, which are always annoying and cringy in everything they're in. I'm not gonna like they're comic relief, but they're annoying. Most of the times, the movie's being cheesy and cringy. It's like giving a really heavy wink through the fourth wall. It like seems to be in on it a lot. Like when Mad Mardigan has like the like cantaloupes or whatever as
yep,
breasts, and like, oh, meet the jealous husband, and like the wink and the nod is sometimes literal, sometimes figurative. The movie is not taking itself too serious. It's not doing the bullet train thing where
right,
it thinks
right,
it's smart and it's being dumb.
right.
Except for the brownies are just they're a little too much for me to enjoy it.
Yeah,
But
so if I had to trace my journey with this, uh in the beginning, I was still struggling. All the stuff with the geopolitical drama of Nelson Land is tough to get into and take seriously.
Oh yeah.
I struggled through that part, and then I just kept seeing the heavy-handed references. So the assembled group of Nelsons is like not the Fellowship. It's like all the dwarves getting ready in the Hobbit.
Yeah.
And then they go on their adventure, which is like the Fellowship. And I'm seeing all of these parallels, and it's just like the whole time I'm like I'm trying to be in the world, but all I can think of is George Lucas is such a lazy hack.
Yeah, yes. Oh no, definitely, dude. Like that's like no, the actual story parts are
yeah.
so cheesy and
I
trite.
mean,
Like
it's George Lucas. I mean, like
Right,
the Hidden
right. Oh,
Fortress and Star Wars episode, New Hope.
by,
All like, yeah, it's just
by the
yeah.
way, George Lucas, lazy hack,
yeah.
aficionado, he didn't actually write the script for this movie or the screenplay. He is
Yeah.
credited with the story. So he had the
Yes.
idea and was like, "Yo, here, write this screenplay. I got an idea for this movie."
Yeah.
So he didn't even take the time to write the screenplay of his derivative amalgamation of other fantasy properties.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. Like George Lucas is literally like a high school kid who writes like a story, and just like every movie that he's seen, he was big into Japanese films, right? So that's he's like, oh, I like this idea. I'll just put it all together, and it feels like that, right? Like even though it came out before like Lord of the Rings and all that stuff, like at least in the current
Movies,
cinematography,
right? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm. Right.
like it has such similar beats, and it's like the MacGuffin like is the ring or the baby. There's like the little person who has to like who has to triumph over like these huge odds, right? It's like it's so similar. Like Frodo,
Well,
like it's
I,
so similar.
the way I think of George Lucas is that everything he does is if a crossover fan fiction was a movie. He's like, I saw this in this place and this and this, and like I'm gonna take these characters from these different places and put them in a movie, and it's because I like these things, and then he pretends the idea is original.
Yeah,
Like that's George Lucas to me. But I don't
but
know. I still enjoyed this.
besides that, besides like the notes and like the obviously like nonsensical portions of it, like that just don't make any sense. We'll get into that later. But there are like interactions that are very good and very funny. Like Val Kilmer and Warwick are very good together,
It's
and
yes.
like like there's like even those moments where like to show like Matt Mardigan is like a good guy. Like he had these little moments that are just like, okay, he's a likable character. Like I like this character.
Right.
It's like he's never
Where like
like
he
Yeah.
pretends to be going, he like waits for them to say which way they're going. He's like, "Damn
yes,
it, that's where I'm going!" Like
yeah.
right.
Those
They
scenes,
they
you get a little chuckle and you're like,
his
okay,
moral arc actually makes sense for his character.
yeah,
Like
Right.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as my journey went on with it, so I'm trying to get in the world, but I'm struggling because of all the obvious heavy-handed references and kind of swipes of other properties.
yeah,
And then we get to the getting captured by brownies part, and I just threw my hands up and was like, "Oh right, this I forgot. I hate this movie." Right?
right.
And but,
They're the brownies
but
are like
Go.
so unnecessary too.
So I have well, finish it because when we transition things that didn't work, I have a question that you just stoked me. But finish
right.
your thing and then yeah.
But then we get past that, and aside from the continued like comedy relief brownies that continue throughout the rest of the movie,
Yeah,
post brownies is when I actually felt like I was actually getting into and enjoying this world.
yeah.
Like everything pre brownies was tough. Brownies are impossible to get into, and post brownies, I was like, okay, I can ride with this. Like I can watch this and I could be in this world and I can actually enjoy it.
Yeah,
And my enjoyment grew as the movie went on, and I was more forgiving of cheesy things that happened on the back half.
yeah.
I do not know if this is intentional or not because Gray and Red like doing these bits where they do it straight face, and I can't tell if they're bits or not. But Gray, it sounds very much like you're talking about. I know the brownies and the character, but it sounds almost like you had pot brownies, and you're like, before I had the brownies, the movie was weird, and I had these brownies, and they taste good. I don't like them, but after the brownies, it made a whole lot more sense, and I was more relaxed.
I,
And
I,
I
I
can't tell. I cannot tell if this is on purpose or not.
Not doing a bit, not referring to those brownies, referring to the diminutive humans, one of which is Kevin Pollak from The
Yep.
Usual Suspects.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time with that. Oh, did I have a hard time with that? Because when I think of Kevin Pollak, I think of him sliding up from under a car in his mechanic coveralls, being a hard ass, and then being that character through The Usual Suspects. Like that's who Kevin Pollak is in my head. That or a very snarky comic.
Yeah.
And seeing him with his face painted and a Sonic the Hedgehog wig, dancing around, yelling bizarre gibberish. What is that accent? Can someone tell me what that
Yeah,
made up accent
I
is?
don't know. Also, he doesn't look like Tails. He looks like if Tails had mange. All right, like it's scraggly. It's not good. That's not a healthy.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
a
I mean,
healthy goat, man.
they have a magical fairy that is apparently their leader that they listen to that helps them and guides them that
Yeah.
has expansive powers to the point where it could just like hand off this super wand to Willow, and that thing is doing nothing about their mange.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
they are terrible
Speaking
little
of,
creatures.
well, Ray, do you have anything? Either of anything more positive? Because I have a transition question for things that didn't work. Sure.
Okay. Positive things. I mean, for the most part, even though I knew they were green screens, it wasn't that bad. Like,
Yeah, it was a glaring most of the time.
yeah,
I'd
like
agree. I'd agree.
at the time, I believe like people were probably impressed by like and they weren't so like the green screen really falls apart when the brownies are like kind of moving around, but for the most
Right,
part,
right.
you know, the magic and the effects are pretty well done for 1988.
Yeah, I will say I was particularly impressed. And again, this is kind of the roughly the same era as kind of the end of the big practical effects, like the Thing and stuff. But the practical effects were largely pretty good,
Yeah.
like quite good, in fact.
Yeah, the
And
pig scene is like
the pig scene, just a lot of the
Horse
practical stuff.
chase thing where they go over the log and stuff like yeah, yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I did see two practical effects mistakes in this movie that they must have seen and decided they couldn't do again, and they both involve horses. So I'm assuming that there was like a limitation on what they could get the horses to do and reshoots or something. So they had to
yeah.
roll what they
I read
had.
about one of them, but go ahead. I don't know the other
So
one you're
so
talking
the
about.
two I noticed while watching was when they go over the log with the cart,
Yeah.
one of the horses very clearly steps on the front of the rubber log, and
Oh,
that
and it
log
just bends.
and that log depresses like a bouncy castle. Like
I didn't see that, but I read about it and then like looked back and saw it.
right.
Yeah, but
And
I
then
didn't
later
notice it on the one.
and then later when Mad Mardigan, the heel turn princess girl and Willow all ride together, and Willow is riding with the princess girl to the final castle. This is after the Hydra fight. They ride up, and there's clearly a dummy, like a doll of Willow with crazy red hair, and
Yeah.
that thing dumps off the front of the horse as they stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the girl just barely catches it, and it's very clearly this like scarecrow that she is wrangling back onto the horse in that
I
scene.
did not notice that. That's hilarious.
Oh, I couldn't unsee it. I rewound it and watched it 3 times of her just because it cuts away and it cuts back, and she's still trying to get the thing up. So like that had to be their only take of like
Yeah.
riding the horses
Right,
over.
right.
There was a
And
lot
there's
of
like-
times where it's just like
This is what we got. The Willow W's falling off the horse.
they show the baby scenes, like it's just like, okay, this is clearly happening like a studio way. Cause like, okay, like, oh here's the baby doing like an expressive thing. And then it shows like Willow like running around with the baby like a football, and you're just like,
Like-
come on, man. Yeah,
Apparently
exactly.
had
Like,
a 13-pound animatronic baby
it's
that
like
they would
holy
use for
cow.
like where it's an action scene and you see a hand waving, but they're like tumbling down a hill. Like, yeah, don't worry, that wasn't.
Baby
wasn't the
skulls
actual
don't fuse,
baby.
man. Like they're still like
Yeah.
little squishy things. You can't just
You know,
Yeah, I was thinking about that too while I was watching it, because like every scene of the baby's face is super close up, and all you see is the arm holding it.
yeah.
And like I feel like the way they did that was like they just had the actual mom hold the baby and just
Yep.
put different
Yep.
costumes on her and
Yep.
did a close up and just got like 45 minutes of that baby being held, and then just like combed through it for the expressions they needed.
Yep.
I think you're right because the baby was also they did a good job getting the right expressions from the baby at the right time, and I completely agree because they're all tight, close up, and
Yeah.
I think that's
Super,
what happened.
yeah, like that baby was never on set. That baby was
No.
in a green screen room. The mom was holding it. It just kept changing shirts, and they just got like an hour and a half of that baby that they could just pull
Yeah.
like a file cabinet. The like, oh, it's laughing. Oh, it's crying.
Right,
But
right,
it works
right.
pretty
Because-
well though. Like those expressions, like
it does.
It does.
That-
And with the limitations of 1988, like bravo. Like I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it just came to me as I was watching it.
Yeah,
This
it's
is what we
totally
were
like
saying.
done.
What happened? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
like when the
Yeah.
baby like first like gets like I don't know got in the river and like it does like the raised eyebrow look, and you're just like, how did you get the baby to do that? It's like they didn't. They just like filmed 100 hours of baby face and just like
Right.
they picked
Yep.
the right one.
What,
Like
what you don't see is the bloodshot eyes of the director off screen, like doing meth in the corner to stay up because it's 3 a.m. on the second consecutive night, and like, okay, the baby spit up, now we can use it. That's
Right.
also apparently where the baby threw up on. Like that was apparently like Warwick Davis just like his gait is like unsteady, and it made the baby sick, and it threw up all over the actor. They kept it.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
now you have to suspend your disbelief that this baby survives all of this, right? Like these are
Right.
like that baby is not in a car seat. That baby is not strapped down, and it somehow stays like glued to that cart as that cart like bounces over logs, right?
Right.
There is one scene that is so egregious in the fact that no human child would survive it that I have to bring it up
Okay.
because
Let
there
me.
countless
Can I
scenes.
guess?
Yes, you can guess.
Is it the sledding scene?
Not the sledding scene. The
Okay.
sledding
Okay.
scene. Well, actually, you know what? The sledding scene is an honorable mention because he was going way too fast when they went through that
They
door.
crash
Like,
into a
if they
building.
crash into that wall inside that room, like that baby is crushed. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the second one. That's not my first choice here of most dangerous or most unsurvivable moment for baby.
Yeah.
When Skullface steals the baby,
Yeah.
Right.
he is riding his horse with the arm that's holding the baby because he's also
Yeah.
waving a sword around while riding a horse.
You're right. Right.
And he is clutching that baby tight to his chest while riding a horse,
Yeah.
wearing steel armor. So he's just like crushing this baby against metal
Right.
while riding a horse
Yeah.
and waving a sword across the whole country to the other castle. Like that baby would be goop by the end of that horse ride.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Hey, you're not. You're not even supposed to gently shake babies, all right? Like you can't football like
I don't think you can,
through.
right. I don't think you should be galloping a horse while holding a baby.
Yeah,
like over uneven terrain. That is shaking a baby. It's just you're shaking with it.
Right.
I mean, in his defense, in the movie, he wants that baby to be alive long enough to sacrifice it.
Yeah, that's true. They're not
He's
super
not worried about long term, like
which brings me to my next question.
Okay.
They never explain this fully, and I'm very confused. So, the prophecy foretold of a baby that would be the doom of the evil wizard.
I have the same question, but go on. Yes.
Never did they explain a purpose for the whole very long ceremony that has to be done to cleanse you of this doom. Like, if the baby is the source of the doom, shouldn't just killing the baby be enough? Well, what is the point of the ceremony? They never explained it.
They never do. And actually, I had a separate question. So I thought you were going to say, like, this baby is manifestly a baby. Apparently, it has a mystic power. It can tell a fairy queen its name to tell Willow to tell it that she likes, which that seemed unnecessarily circuitous, but fine. But this is a baby, and they keep saying possessing the doom. I'm like, okay, so like, it's going to chill out for 30 years? No. And also, she died from not the baby. I guess she died from the ceremony, so maybe it's like by trying to stop your fate, you become your fate. I don't know. Maybe that was it.
Yeah,
But
no, she totally whacked herself.
They didn't walk us through that enough. Like,
also, yeah.
It's very much the thing. Like, this baby's gonna grow up to be this. And, like,
I think there was a scene like
happens.
during the ritual, like she was trying to absorb the baby's power.
Okay.
I think that was like the baby, like if she has the baby's power, like she'll be able to.
Then that power can't get
Right.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Okay, but I mean that makes more sense. That makes more sense because my other thought was because they don't talk about in Lord of the Rings like this the wizards aren't even human and they're like thousands of years old, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
like they don't explain if there's unnaturally long life for these wizard people. In fact, they almost do the opposite because the other wizard, the Rivera or whatever, the one who was
the one that's always an animal, the different animal, the different scene. Yes.
When she finally becomes human again, she's like, "Oh no, I'm old. Like, how long was I an animal?" So like, so they kind of imply there that the wizards age at a normal rate.
Yeah.
Right.
That mom, Snow White, evil queen. By the time that baby grows up and could do anything to her, she'd probably be like 90. Like she's done anyway by the time that baby grows up.
Yep. But this brings me to the transition question thing, right? And this is I guess I have two, because the first one is somewhat plausible. But one, how did the brownies get the baby from Mad Mardigan? And two, how did why? If you have found a baby that it's the prophecy is real, it has the mark, we're gonna do this, let's leave no soldiers in this room with the baby and two women, and then not search either of the women before. It's just,
first off, I'm gonna like say in general, like both kingdoms are highly understaffed. Like
Yes.
for
There's
their
30
massive armies,
soldiers. There's
yeah,
like 30 soldiers in the world.
it
Like,
total.
yes. Yes.
This world is. Hang on. This world is populated like a PS3 era open world game.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's like 40 people per country max.
Yeah. Yeah, like the whole army that like rides out to like to fight them, like that destroyed their army. Like it's only like half of my men, but there's like 12 of them, and so like
Yeah.
the total army was like 24, maybe 30ish.
Yep.
And like they didn't describe like how evil wizard lady how wizard lady's army destroyed that army, because like when they fought with half the amount, they still won easily.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, what's implied is that she turned them all into pigs or something. But yes, it's not. They don't establish why she's so scary.
Yeah,
like,
Galador
yeah.
or whatever. Like,
Speaking of which, there is no way this movie would be PG-13 or PG today.
no way.
No,
Guaranteed with that goopy changing
The
into
troll?
pigs. The
Oh, yeah.
troll and changing into pigs.
Yeah.
Those alone bump this to PG-13
Yeah.
in today's rating standards.
Yep.
Now,
Agreed.
Now, did PG-13 not exist then? I forget when PG-13 was
I
introduced.
don't think it did, because A Temple of Doom was
really?
PG.
Oh, and Temple of Doom has people melting.
Doom was PG.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom
And
has
the
somebody's
heart
heart
ball.
being ripped out.
Yep.
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Temple of Doom.
Okay.
Actually, Temple of Doom is one of the reasons why they created a new rating, like to kind of PG-13, like in between like rated R and
Okay,
PG.
so got it. PG-13 became a thing in 1984. And
it existed,
that
but it was
is
new. Okay.
And that is also, yeah, you're right. Temple of Doom was also 84. So I think you're right. Temple of Doom instigated PG-13.
Yeah, they're just like, what the?
But Willow should have been PG-13 with an entire army of
calibrating
people.
They were calibrating it.
They're screaming in agony as they turn into Ganon, and then turn from Ganon into pigs.
The dude who has like the half bottom of a pig with like pig legs, and he still has his whole like normal body. I was just like laughing. I was like, holy cow! Like,
yeah, that was the worst one. That was maybe 2 shades away from the melting guy in RoboCop.
Yeah.
No,
About
and
Bruce,
here's what this has always bothered me about the movie. Like, even as a kid, like they have this whole thing. They go up. Like, did they do no opposition research? Did they not like? Man, good thing we're not fighting a witch that could turn us all into pigs, right, guys? Like, I mean, they
had a baby.
Did not.
Baby protects them.
They did it though. She had the baby already.
Oh, they had the goat. They had the goat lady.
They had the goat. Yeah, good. Oh.
Okay, all right. If we're on things we didn't like, I have a plot question for you guys.
Okay, do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they arrive at the edge of the lake.
Yep.
This is where Mad Mardigan departs.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is important. Mad Mardigan departs when they're at the edge of the lake, prior to Willow getting on the little boat and going across the lake, discovering that the all-powerful sorceress has been turned into, what kind of animal was she? Do we remember?
She was like a possum or something.
Yeah, some sort of weird possum thing. I'm trying to look it up here.
Possum.
I saw it earlier. Yeah, brush-tail possum.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's prior to them figuring out, or to Willow meeting her and seeing that she's a brush-tail possum. No one knows this because she's on this island. There's that's where the sorcerer lives, right? Mad Mardigan gets caught by love interest, evil redhead, and Skullface, and the rest of their crew, right? Then they come to get Willow as he's coming back from across on his boat, and they capture him where the little hut things were, and take them to their dungeon or whatever, right?
Yeah.
With me so far?
Right.
They had with them a little cage for the possum that they made. And they knew that the possum was not just a possum. They knew it was important enough to take with them to this prison.
Yep.
Was the possum talking?
I mean, if I would just run away if I was the possum. I would not be like, hey guys, I'm important. You should capture me too.
I don't remember that scene that well. I don't know if the possum was like
No,
actually
I
talking
think they
like watch
I
out.
think they grabbed it right away.
They grabbed.
Like,
Well,
I
they
think
grabbed
it-
grabbed. Yeah. She tried to run away, and they grabbed her. But like, she
Right.
didn't say anything. They just grabbed
Okay,
a
okay.
possum that happened to be next to Willow.
Okay.
They're like, "Oh, get Willow!"
In
And
their,
then
in their defense, they know that there was something that was like changed into something banished to this island that Willow is near.
Yeah.
So
I think it was like
I can give them a little bit of
okay,
you
all right.
know,
So are we gonna give them credit because their boss is the one who
you-
turned her into a possum?
you-
So they
but,
might
like,
have had a heads up that like there's
yes.
a possum
It's
lady on that
still
island.
very tenuous because there's clearly other animals on this island. I'm not disagreeing. I just if I want to give them a chance, that is the chance.
All right.
I'm
If
giving
we're gonna give them a chance, I'll give them a second leg on this
them.
chance
Okay.
because I don't think we see the little homemade possum cage before they catch them. So, and it's a hard cut from that to Mad Mardigan and Willow being pulled behind the cart. So, I can extend this as far as I can. and say
wait.
Maybe they built that little possum cage after they caught the possum. So
Yeah,
someone had to hold it while they
Or-
built the little
Well,
cage.
no, I
Or maybe
remember
they
the
have a
scene.
cage for like maybe they need to capture other possums sometime. You
I
don't know
actually
what
remember
this
this.
is.
Okay, so they actually put the possum in a bag because I remembered because I was like, you can't really handle an animal that roughly because they grab it by
Right.
the tail and then they shove it into a bag
Okay.
when they first capture it. So maybe at that time,
And then while it's in the bag,
yeah.
they can weave a little cage.
yeah, there's like
Right, right.
little cage, little.
Okay, because when I saw the little cage, I was like, Mad Mardigan didn't know she was a possum. When did they make this cage? Why do they
Yeah.
plan to catch the possum
The
that
other
happened to be
thing
next to
about that
Willow?
scene- the other thing about the scene that I couldn't remember from a kid, I looked it up, and it seems like people disagree on this. So it's implied in one way that Mad Mardigan led them to them, which is like would
But
make sense. But
he says,
they say,
Yeah.
they say, see, I told you we didn't need them.
we
We
didn't
could
need your
find
help.
it
We didn't.
without
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Right. So like, but then why is he like? Why does he apologize if that's the case?
Right,
Like,
right. They
it
keep
was
him
a
alive.
weird-
They keep him alive, and he apologizes, which to me screams, "Hey, I told him that this
They
is where I
explicitly
left you."
say that, see, I told you we didn't need his help.
Yeah.
It's just, and Willow is like, no one's mad at him after, which also
Yeah.
to me implies that he didn't rat him out.
I think it was
Yeah.
like more of like
I don't know.
like he's sorry that he got caught instead
Oh.
of like
That makes
Okay.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's still weird that he apologizes. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, it doesn't work.
I think
It's
it's
just a
it's
weird
trying to
thing.
like to lead you into thinking that he betrayed them and that like
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean, there's a bunch of like kind of faulty points, and one of them, of course, is like the CGI every time the brownies appear, because the resolution that they need, right, to blow up like the background images does not like they don't have a high resolution whatever, so everything looks garbo as soon as the
Yep.
brownies show up. Like
Yep.
everything looks normal, and then like show the brownies, and everything is like distorted and low res, and
Yep. Yup.
but and I hated them, of course, because they're just terrible. Like,
They're
they're just
annoying.
terrible
They're
comedic
annoying.
relief. But I did laugh when they tried to have sex with the cat.
Yep. There's two
I
times I laughed. When they tried to have sex with the cat, and the running bit that Val Kilmer and Warwick didn't even know they were there.
Yeah.
Where they they kept like saying like, "We'll go get them. You wait back," and then like every action Val Kilmer and Warwick make, it's like they don't even exist.
Yeah, they're like,
I
Like,
also enjoy the when he does acknowledge them, he's always like kicking sand. Like I enjoy how much they and Mad Mardigan hate each other, and it's just they never resolve it. So
Yep.
he's hate each other. I actually
Right.
kind of like that.
Right. And their personality trait is just or I don't know if it's genetic. What? They're just tiny jerks. They're all
yeah,
tiny
they're just
jerks.
tiny jerks for some unknown reason.
Yep. So here's the thing, and they allude to it, and then just like womp womp, and like that's the explanation is that there is no explanation. They have no like I didn't see them like put a harness on like a rat or something, right? Like they cross like countries in like a day with their little legs, and like at any point like a squirrel could decide their dinner, like let alone a hawk. Like I don't. I need
Hey,
a little
remember,
more than
though,
that.
They
Like,
had a
even if
hawk
nothing
before.
bothered them. That's like their legs are super little, like super
I know.
little.
Well, like I mean, even just the part where Mad Morrigan and Willow and the baby ride the shield like a sled all the way down the mountain. the brownies come out of the tent and they're like, they left us. And then like 5 minutes later, they're down the mountain with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. They catch up. Yeah.
Also, on the sled thing, first of all, you can see the marks from the actual sled. But also, so when they get to the hill, it makes quote unquote sense. But is it just me that when they're first on the sled, they're going much slower than if they were running, and they should have just been running? And any soldier could have been like, "What?" Just put his leg out and be like, "Stop this! What are you?"
Yeah.
What are you
Also,
doing this
it was
for?"
really convenient for them to sled by and but still have it be exciting that this enemy army decided to make their camp in like a vertical slalom up a hill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very convenient that's how they
That is
decided
relatively
to make camp.
that is in like,
Okay.
and conveniently
Well, I
they're
learned
like
something today.
close to the village that's like filled with like the survivors of the war. Just like,
Yes.
Okay.
Also, yeah, you just crash right into that at the bottom of that hill.
Yep. Oh man. I mean, trying to think what. I mean, again, this is all with the caveat that I enjoyed the movie, but like, and just the whole end battle thing. It seemed to be that the movie knew it didn't have the budget for actual battles, and that's why they got turned into pigs, and that's why that scene was there. Like okay,
But I
we
mean,
have
they
this
still
high
fought.
stakes thing.
It was just like,
That's
again,
true.
there's only
That's
like 12
true.
people total. It's
Also, that being said, it was expensive to turn those people into pigs.
yeah, I know.
That's very
They spent
true.
cash on that. They could have
Yeah.
spent money on more extras, but they decided.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe,
like turning them into pigs. That scene probably cost as much as like I'm trying to think of a low budget movie that did well. Like that scene probably cost as much as the entire movie of like Halloween.
Yeah, probably. I mean, George Lucas
Yeah.
loves special effects. Like that's
Yeah.
his bread and butter.
I mean, in their defense, for the defense of that,
Also-
Halloween's composer was also its director, and that movie had 4 musical notes in it. But it is a good
also
movie.
bread and butter is also George Lucas's bread and butter.
I know that
Yes,
guy.
yes, God.
He's a chunky boy. Okay, so there's another scene. There's another scene that I like, and also just like was like, what is going on? Like when they go to like the foreign castle, that's all deserted, right?
Yeah, the one that's supposed to be their safety, and
Yeah,
it's just
and it's just like, of course,
Yeah.
it's just another kind of dead end. Okay, I like the scene where like the ogre comes up, right, and he runs past it or into the group of like enemies, and they're like looking at each other. That's a funny scene. Laughed a little bit.
Yes,
But the rest of that scene where he fights an entire army like with crossbows that he hides everywhere is so stupid.
That was a
Yep.
bit much.
Yep.
Also,
But yeah, you're right. The comic relief was very good. Like,
I feel like they blew the budget on the pig scene, and then they had no money for practical effects for trolls because those trolls,
They sucked.
dude. That was like leftover gorilla costumes from after Halloween,
dude.
man.
I was like,
even
how are
the-
these trolls?
even the big troll or dragon or whatever that thing was is like it just went from impressive to like Clash of the Titans, like stop
Also-
motion claymation type
Also,
whatever thing.
the two-headed Mitch McConnell thing.
That's the thing I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. That thing, that just screams at me. Cut Star Wars character.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How did
That
that even
thing
fit into
That thing looks more like something from Jabba's palace than
It's
something
true.
from a fantasy movie.
Yeah, that's like, do you want a Rancor, but that's not quite a Rancor? This thing.
Yeah.
Like, right. Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
That's what that screams to me. That's what's in like the other pit in Jabba's
All of
palace
this-
instead of the Rancor.
All of this gets to me like the main thing about the movie that doesn't work for me. And like it's sort of like just a sense that it gives me that I think is all these things, mainly the fact that there's 19 people in this entire world. It's a movie that has this like epic setting and this high fantasy arc, and the world just feels too empty. Like the movie feels like it is this high stakes thing, and there's never a scene that feels epic. Right. There's never
It's
a
super
scene that feels like
It feels like a television show, like a fantasy television show.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
Xena or like
exactly.
Hercules or something. It's
Exactly.
I'm telling you,
Exactly.
PS3 era open world game.
yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
Yep.
But they
But
just
you're
didn't have time to
expecting, like, maybe
program.
that's
or-
what Peter Jackson learned from these movies. Like, spend all money on 1,900,000 million actors. Like,
Yeah.
just to stand in the background and, like,
Right. Or have 400 people stand in a grid and then copy paste them.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Which I know they didn't have that. They didn't have copy paste here.
Right.
But I will say, towards the end of the movie, I had kind of like one of the more hilarious moments happened back to back with one of the more kind of like moments that gave me the feels. So when they give their stand at the gates, and it's the sorceress and Willow,
Yeah.
and they give their little speech, and everybody laughs at them, or whatever. This is after they turn them back from pigs, and they're going to actually assault
Yeah.
when they trick them into opening the gate.
Yeah.
And when Willow mutters to under his breath, "Courage, Willow," like
Yeah.
reminding himself to be brave, that
Yeah.
did give me the feels. I
Yeah,
gotta-
dude, it's
like,
there's some
yeah.
moments that are like good. Okay, that's
I was like, yeah, like that's quality, because like
Yeah.
this is that's a real like Frodo Sam kind of moment of like
Yeah.
reminding yourself to be brave, because this is so beyond the scope of what you thought would ever happen in your life.
Right.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I like that.
Those are the
This
moments
is why
that,
he
like,
wanted. This is why he wanted to drown the baby. He didn't want to deal
Right.
with this stuff.
Less than 5 minutes later, one of the more hilarious things happened, and that's in the sorceress fight.
Yeah.
In which they're back and forth, magic, 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 magic. Willow fights a pot, everything going crazy.
Yeah.
Right? All this crazy stuff happens. And then like the pillar falls, and the good sorceress is like trapped under the pillar for a minute, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
From that point forward, they abandon magic, and it turns into a prison fight.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's like she's like choking him and like scratching her eyes out. Like
They're
it's like
scratching and choking and like elbows and punches. Like it just turns into like a prison brawl, and it's hilarious that these like supreme sorceresses then resort to like clawing each other's eyes out and punching each other in the
Yes.
nose.
I will say I did enjoy, and this is sort of in between the two, that they brought back like Willow Crafty Magician, like actually ends up coming into play later on. I
Yes.
thought that was a solid move.
You talk about Chekhov's
What?
magic trick?
Yeah, Chekhov's magic
yes.
trick, exactly.
Yep.
And like
Solid.
the fact that she's like, "How could you do that?" He's like, "Womp womp," like, twinkles his nose.
Like, real sorceress cannot figure out sleight of hand.
Yeah, just
Right,
like, oh
exactly.
wow. It's like
Now to
Yep.
circle back to the beginning, I was really confused. Not confused. Well, not confused is the wrong word. I was angry that what I thought was the right answer wasn't, and that the right answer was so stupid. In the beginning
the
of the
finger?
movie, the finger thing, right? The finger thing. What is happening with the
what do you
finger
think
thing?
the figure was?
It's I was like, oh, he's like, oh, which finger changes the world, right? And I was like, oh, obviously thumb, because that's what allowed us to hold tools and become people, and that's what separates us from the animals. The thumb
Yeah.
changed the world, right? And then
Yeah.
they're like, oh, finger, nope, finger, nope, finger, nope. Better luck next year.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, these are all dummies because they didn't pick thumb. And
Yeah.
then they get into their conversation with the elder, and he finds out he was supposed to pick his own finger
Right.
instead of the hand that was held up, because the guy never specified which finger on my hand.
Yeah.
That is so dumb. Why is I feel like the thumb is such a better answer.
It is. But
Also,
here's
like,
my
you do
problem.
not want to be like the first person to have to pick, like everyone else gets like a better choice. Like,
Here's also my problem with this. So they have this thing like he hasn't picked a person in years, blah blah blah. But it's implied that they've all seen him pick someone before, right? Or at least some people have seen him pick someone before. And this test is conducted out in the open. So either there wasn't either the
I think he
finger
changes
test,
it up.
yeah,
He's got to change it up. You
Okay.
can't
Yeah,
you can't share the
it's
answer.
got to be a new test every time. But
How does he calibrate how does that test for magic or does it just test for lateral thinking? Like how many magic tests that don't present as magic tests does this guy have up his sleeve?
I know. And now the other thing, now I've made clear, I feel like the thumb is the correct answer.
Right.
But
You've hinted at that, yes.
But of the other answers given, I think there was only one truly stupid one.
The pinky?
No, nobody picked Pinky.
Okay, I don't remember who picked what.
No, so the first guy picked. They went in order. The first guy picked the index. The second guy picked the middle finger, and then Willow said the ring finger. Right. So I'm thinking, okay, pointer finger. Yeah, not great. It's too obvious. Can't be it. Middle finger. Dumb choice. Doesn't make any sense. It's nothing. It's just longer. Ring finger. Okay. Does marriage change the world? Are we talking about the ring itself on that
Okay, yeah,
finger?
I can see that.
Okay. I can see that. You got a point, Willow. But no, I truly thumb, man. Thumb.
It's gotta be thumb.
Why is it my index finger versus yours? Like, why I don't understand.
Next time we find a wizard, we'll ask him.
I know. What I feel like we're going to have is in 3 months on a very special bonus episode where Gray has written an angry letter to Ron Howard about this movie from 30 years ago and has finally gotten a reply that is either an answer or a cease and desist letter from his lawyers. I don't know which one it will be. But I feel like, because I know you, Gray, I feel like it'll be 6 days later and you can be like, I'm still mad about this. I got it. And you're just going to like bang something out. And then I'll be getting a call from someone about some background check. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to end.
Are you talking about the part of my brain that decided to make a spreadsheet for the one?
Yeah. Okay. So listen, I can't remember if we talked about this on the podcast or not, but yes. When we watched the one, Gray here, and this is why I love Gray, but this is also why I'm worried. Oh, we already talked about the spreadsheet of how many the ones to get to the one.
I'm gonna cut this.
Yep. That's
fine. But yes, I can't handle this hand finger thing. I've been thinking about it since last night, and it's driving me nuts.
It's like kept me up at night. Like, what do you mean, my finger?
What do you mean, my finger? Which of my fingers?
Like, it could be any of them.
Please do not find Ron Howard and punch him in the face. You have a family. You can't go to prison.
No, I changed the world with my finger, and I jab his eye out.
So let's shall we get to?
Should we go to those?
I think you already had your moral.
I have a different moral. I do have a different moral.
Let's share what we learned from Willow. Like this heartwarming courage, Blue courage.
So what I learned from Willow is that, and this is going to be like we had this lighthearted adventure thing. There's going to be a little like grisly with that setup. But if you are an all-powerful witch who knows that, not only do you have a baby that's your own undoing, but that part of this puzzle is an all-powerful sorceress that you have banished a long time ago. And your survival as an evil matriarch depends on this person not being able to help this baby. You should have just killed her. Don't banish her to a place 30. It's just sloppy. It just reads as hubris and James Bond villain explain the plot as James Bond is hanging in an easily escapable situation. It's hackish. It's frankly hackish.
Blue, very pro baby killing.
So would you want her dead or just further away? Because she changed her to an animal. She put her on an island like 8 miles away from where she lived.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, either. But I mean, the point is, like, why leave an opening at all? Like, why? Like, this is not a character that's portrayed as merciful. It's clearly stated she kills tons of people in this world. Like, why spare someone dangerous to you? It just doesn't make sense.
It's true.
If you're gonna be a war criminal, like at least war criminal the people undo you. That's the moral, I guess. This sounds really bad. Someone please give theirs now. I want to stop talking about this.
Greg?
All right. So my moral is when you're in this unnamed world, because they never said the name of this land, if you ever run into trouble, just play dead.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time someone plays dead in this movie, everyone immediately believes it and moves on with their life as if they are dead. It happens twice, back to back, in the sorceress fight, in which one plays dead, gets the upper hand, the other plays dead. The one who just pulled that trick immediately believes it, and it happens again. It also happens with Skullface in the most hilarious way possible, because when Skullface plays dead and somebody walks by, the second that they walk by, he opens his eyes and looks like he's doing over-exaggerated movements in a Broadway play. Yep. So the people in the back row know that he's still alive. Like, it is bananas. If you were ever in trouble in this world, just play dead. You're going to be fine.
Words to live by.
What do you read? What do you got?
So, if you're in a fantasy world, any fantasy world, you've got to make sure that your dental hygiene is up to par. So, brush your teeth, floss, and if you can't do either of those, make sure your alignment is morally good.
Yeah, the more Paragon points that Mad Mardigan got, the brighter his teeth got.
Exactly.
All right. I think at this point, all we have left now is giving our rating and recommendation.
Okay. I would
Who
give
wants to go
this
first?
movie. I would give
Go
this
for it.
movie 4 thumbs out of 5.
You son of a. I give this movie 3 annoying brownies crushed under the boot heels of someone who didn't notice them.
I give this movie 4 thumbs that changed the world out of 5.
My recommendation would be, if you're going to watch it. Don't half watch it. I learned the hard way.
Yeah, it's still watchable. It's it's not amazing, but at the time it was fun. Still not bad, and I'm sure, like if you really wanted to get into the series, you could watch this movie without too much pain.
Yeah, and if like Red and I, you enjoyed this as a kid and like, oh, should I watch this again? Yes. In that case, definitely watch it. You'll still enjoy it.
Yeah. So, take it from Ron Howard. Watch the movie. Still happy days. With that, we'll see you later.
And that's Dinner for Wolf.